welcome to Vanessa's Venezuelan Kitchens. I'm Vanessa, and today we are going to cook one of my favorite Venezuelan dishes, which is very versatile. It is part of our national dish. And what I'm talking about is carne mechada, or shredded beef. It's one of my favorite dishes, and even though it's kind of time consuming, I think that it really captures the flavors and the richness of Venezuelan cooking. So I think that carne mechada is the best filling for arepas. My favorite arepa is the arepa pelua, which is like the hairy arepa because of the shredded things, the shredded beef, and it also has shredded cheese in it. And an empanada with carne mechada with shredded beef in it is top tier. I really like it. So good. And then it's also part of the Venezuelan national dish, which is pabellón criollo. It has shredded beef, carne mechada, rice, black beans, and plátanos maduros, or fried ripened plantains. Carne mechada is definitely the best. I think that if you go to any Venezuelan restaurant in the US, they should have carne mechada or pabellón, which includes carne mechada. That's also included in the desayuno criollo, traditional style Venezuelan breakfast. It also should have carne mechada, so it's great. So if you go to a Venezuelan restaurant, make sure that you get the carne mechada. And if it's not great, if it's not amazing, then I don't know what to tell you. That's something that they should really do well. A little bit of maybe history. And before I get into the history, the process of shredding the beef can also be very zen, just like sitting there and, start to like desmechar the meat, shred it. I don't particularly shred it that way because I want to eat right away and I don't have time to let the meat get cold and then, sit there, like las abuelas or like las mamás and just start shredding beef by hand. I don't do that. I just do it with some forks. But it can be a little meditation if you want to do it that way, like the elders do. So a little bit of history, and don't quote me. This was just like a Google search, kind of trying to find the truth. Like, where does this dish even come from? Who invented it? Who brought it to Venezuela? And why does it have a bunch of similarities to a Cuban beloved dish, which is ropa vieja? So I started looking for it and it was like, okay, so what's going on? Anyway, it seems that, as so happens with many Latin American countries, some of our food does come from Spain, from colonization and maybe later waves of migrants that, especially in Venezuela, we received some Spanish immigrants. It seems like it comes from, I think, either Galicia or the Canary Islands, which would make sense because there were a lot of Spanish migrants that came to Venezuela that were from the Canary Islands, and we also have like a similar accent in Spanish, so who knows? But it seems like it came from Spain. And so in Galicia, what I read was that they made this meat, they let it sit there for a while, cooking, getting really soft. It's not a super expensive cut of meat, as most of the most delicious food doesn't come from a super elitist, rich background. It's mostly just people trying to gather whatever they could afford to make something delicious, and then that becomes our comfort food. So they let the meat cook for a while, and I think that they may have included like garbanzo beans and other things like that. And so then they started calling it andrajos, which is another way of talking about rags or like raggedy clothing, which kind of makes sense with the fact that in Cuba, this type of shredded beef is called ropa vieja, which is like old clothes, which is rags, andrajos. So I thought that was interesting. And in Cuba, at least the times that I've tried any ropa vieja, and it wasn't at an amazing restaurant where I tried it, so maybe y'all can correct me, or maybe you can treat me to eat some ropa vieja. Cubans, Cubanos, let me know. But they include olives, which I don't know what it is about a lot of Venezuelan and Caribbean kind of cuisine that they love olives. I hate olives, so I don't know what's going on there. But they include olives. In the Venezuelan versions that I've tried, we don't use olives for the carne mechada. And then you look at birria, which is a Mexican dish, which has become really popular, I believe, in the US with like the quesabirria and like tacos de birria and things like that. And that is a type of shredded beef. It's kind of very finely shredded. So I don't know what the connection is there. They do not taste the same, although the texture and the look is kind of very similar, but the flavor profile is different. I don't know if they make it the same way. So maybe as you see this recipe, you're like, well, you're just making birria, girl. And it's like, okay, maybe I am. But to me, it is carne mechada. And this recipe is not my own, obviously. The one that I followed is from a blog called Mommy's Home Cooking by this lady, Oriana. I don't know her last name. But Mommy's Home Cooking has some of the best Venezuelan recipes in both English and Spanish. And she also does a lot of eggless and versions for people that may have some sort of food allergy. So it's great. Go to Mommy's Home Cooking and follow her recipes too. Here you will see me making something that's pretty close to Mommy's Home Cooking carne mechada recipe. But I add some little things that are kind of my own. But her recipe is great. It's like foolproof. You'll always make a really good carne mechada with that recipe. So I'll link it below. And to show the street cred of my recipe, my mom, who is a demanding Latina lady, who is very like, is your food really good or not? She tried this carne mechada. She's like, hands down, the best thing, the best carne mechada that I've ever tried. So there you go. I have this award from her as regards this carne mechada. So that's it. Let's get into making the carne mechada. And this was recorded at a very disparate time, so you'll see different lightings. I just do this impromptu whenever I have time. Okay, I hope you like it. Bye. So I know I said salt to taste. You have been cooking for a while, so you should probably know, but use enough so that it tastes good. Then fresh cracked black pepper, minced garlic. I love fresh garlic. It's great and it makes everything smell so good. Shallots, then a little bit of cumin, and it's important that you massage it and make sure that all those flavors get into the meat. If you have time to let this marinate overnight, I would highly recommend that because then it will make it a lot more flavorful, but you don't need to. Worcestershire sauce, salsa inglesa is a key ingredient to anything that I cook. Keep massaging it. If you want, you can also use a fork to make sure that all of those seasonings really get in there. The next step is to have a hot pan, make sure that the oil is hot, and then we're going to sear this carne mechada. After you start searing it, then also add all those little goodies that you included in the adobo or in the seasoning, including the shallot, the garlic, and everything else. Just put it all in there while it's searing. flip the carne over. I probably should have left that one a little longer, but then this one has a pretty good sear. After searing it, you will add some water, enough so that it will cover the carne, and you should also add some beef broth. I use the unsalted or low sodium version of beef broth. You can make your own beef broth, but who has the time? 2 hours and 20 minutes simmering in there should be good enough to make the meat become as tender as we need it to be. Flip it several times during those 2 hours and 20 minutes. And if you see that the water is drying out too quickly, make sure that you correct it with water and beef broth, or maybe just beef broth. Look at that color, it's great. That's when you know that it's ready. After that, you're going to start to esmechar or desmechar. Our abuelas and our moms and very traditional people just did it with their fingers once the meat was cold enough to touch, but nadie tiene tiempo, who has the time for that? So I just use the two forks method because it saves my hands, and it's also, I think it makes it a lot finer, the shredding. So that's what I recommend. I recommend the two forks. After that, back into the pan that you cooked the carne mechada in. You're gonna put the shredded beef back into it, and then we're gonna add the magic sauce. And what is the magic sauce? I got this one from Oriana's recipe from Mommy's Home Cooking, and it's foolproof. A little bit more beef broth, actually more beef broth, because you're supposed to mix this in separately with a little bit of Worcestershire sauce as well, tomato sauce, and then tomato paste. You mix all of that magic sauce together before you add it into the carne, and man, this is a game changer. So make sure that you do it. Mix it in, and then correct with salt if you need to. Just make sure you always taste and correct. This one needs a little bit more salt and pepper, so go ahead and correct if that's your taste. Add your bay leaf. The bay leaf, hoja de laurel, they're super important to get the right flavor profile for this. So make sure that you add those. You don't need to cut them up or anything. If you've worked with bay leaves before, you know what to do, but just in case. And then basically what we're going to do is let this reduce a little bit more, thicken up, because yeah, after this, the carne mechada is ready. But it is so important to do this magic sauce. So cover, and I also added a little bit of ají dulce that I had left over. So that's really gonna give it that excellent touch, that excellent flavor. If you don't have ají dulce, that's okay. You could also buy a paste like a pasta de ají dulce. I will see if I can link some websites below, or you can grow them yourselves, which is what I do. So you'll see how that sauce is reducing and you get that little oily sheen. It's so delicious. That will be the indicator that your carne is ready to go. That oily sheen that the sauce leaves behind. So you see it there, it's like bright. It almost looks like aceite notado. Then you put it away, unless you're gonna eat it right away. I like to leave it overnight so it will really concentrate those flavors. I love arepas de carne mechada. It's my favorite flavor of arepas. Next up, you know it, water first and then the masa. I sometimes like me la doy de Sasha Fitness. I try to be like Sasha Fitness, and I will add some oatmeal and some linseed. Venezuelan college student has one of these because maybe our mom taught us how to make an arepa. Maybe our mom taught us how to make an arepa, but maybe and they didn't teach you. Now you gotta grease it up. It's supposed to be non-stick, but for 16 minutes and then it's done. It's like set it and forget it. I'll show you. And one of the keys to using a tosti arepa is making your arepa ball the right size. And for me, I never quite get it correct. So now we have the carne mechada. You've let it rest and you've popped it out of the refrigerator after I made my batch of carne mechada for brunch, and so the ladies ate, we ate most of it. But I wanted to show you what it looks like the next day. So, you know, obviously it's kind of fatty, so that's why you see the little solids there. And then we're gonna just reheat it. But that's ideally what you should do is let it rest overnight because it'll concentrate all of those flavors. So now let's heat it up. Reheating it. I think that should be enough for an arepa. I'm gonna make an arepa de carne mechada this morning. I'm not gonna use a lot of the carne because it's kind of heavy for the morning, but it's delicious. It's my favorite type of arepa ever. I'm cooking this in low heat, rather reheating it, and you'll start seeing how the solid kind of fatty sauce that it makes is gonna start melting with the heat. That's what gives it that delicious flavor. If you see that there might have been a little bit of fat from the beef left over, just pick it out as I'm doing right now. Just pick it out, get rid of it. It just doesn't taste really good. So yeah, if you see that kind of thing, just get rid of it. So that's starting to look pretty good. Almost gonna be ready for the arepas. Yum. Going full senora style today, so I'm also gonna show you how I make my coffee in the greca or the mocha pot. So I'm getting this ground coffee that I got as a gift from a local company here called Infinite Resources and Amplified. It's their branded coffee. They don't make coffee. Infinite Resources is a temp agency and Amplified is a podcasting local agency. But yeah, this coffee comes from Guatemala. Here it is. I keep it in my little Aida tin, which if you know, you know that Aida is a wonderful coffee shop chain in Vienna. The Wiener Cafe, the Viennese coffee. I use whole bean. After you start using whole bean coffee and grinding it before you drink it, you can't go back. It's a delicious taste, so do it. Anyway, this is the coffee I'm using. Something I like about this coffee that I think is different, it's that it's kind of light. It's like a light roast. Sure I have the right grind, which is espresso. Alright, let's get it going. Okay. Mmm. So good. You fill up your mocha pot with water. And then you fill your little coffee filter with the coffee. I use about 11 grams of coffee for this one, but you can make it as strong or whatever as you want. Okay, and then you assemble it. This is also a Musa brand. Yeah, I'm not sponsored, but I guess they make a lot of the Latino implements we use. This mocha pot or greca is a staple in all Latin American homes, or at least Caribbean homes. You'll see it. Okay, you put your greca on the stove, and until you hear that little noise, that's when you know it's ready. That's it, that's when you know. And that's when you know that your coffee is done on the mocha pot. Boom, look at how these look. See, this one I miscalculated and it's too big, so it made that little crust around it. But see, these are pretty good and they're pretty crispy. I think I'm gonna grab this one. Look, it's so perfectly round. I could never get this shape. Only the tostiarepa can do it. Okay, let's fill it up. And another pro tip is once you open your arepa, you get the little innards out and then you put a bunch of butter. Oof, that's the best part. Now you got your arepa ready to fill up. Today's arepa is an arepa pelua, so it's shredded beef and shredded cheese. I'm using pepper jack cheese today. Okay, so first your cheese. And then the beef. So, arepa pelua means hairy arepa, which isn't very appealing, but trust and believe that this is a delicious arepa. So it has the cheese and the carne mechada in it. And bonus, I get this little innards with the butter. Now the moment of truth. I got my coffee. I got my arepa. Let's try it. Buen provecho. Mmm. 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 So messy, but it's a little messy, but it's so good. So it's all that delicious sauce has coated all of the arepa. This is my favorite arepa flavor. If you want to say it that way, it's my favorite arepa flavor. So that's it. Carne mechada. You saw how to make it. And then if you're feeling lazy, you can just quickly make your arepa dough. If you have a tosti arepa, set it and forget it. Go take a shower or go do whatever. Leave it 16 minutes there. And then you'll have a perfectly round, crispy arepa with lots of little innards that you can eat with butter. And then you can make your arepa peluda, hairy arepa with carne mechada and cheese. So that's it. That's all I got. I'm gonna take another little bite. Mmm, so good. Mmm. If you have anything else that you would like me to make, some food that you are curious about, whether it's from Iowa or from Venezuela, please let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you later. Ciao.